Good afternoon. My name is Stuart Hale Shakman. If you're interested in any of these mysterious diseases that are plaguing humankind, from arthritis, appendicitis, schizophrenia, multiple sclerosis, cancer, any of them, I urge you to stay tuned for the next 26 minutes. Also, if you or anybody that you know has had extensive dental work, if you have implants, if you have root canals or are thinking about them, I also urge you to stay tuned. Okay, I want to just take 1 minute right here at the beginning to express condolences for two people that have touched my life, that passed on just last week, a week ago Tuesday. Sharon Tompey, a bartender at Father's Office in Santa Monica, was killed in a car crash on Tuesday. For those of you who knew her and weren't aware of this, I wanted you to know that. And also Irwin Levine, who wrote Tie Yellow Ribbon, who had just completed a musical called Homeward Bound with composer Phil Springer. He also passed on the same day in New York from complications from heart disease. And our hearts go out to everybody. And we are again reminded of the miracle of life. Let's be careful and treat every day as though it's a bonus. Okay, the subject is what's eating you, bacteria with taste. We're going to open up the phones. We have you can call in at any time, and we're going to try to take as many phone calls as we can. Basically, the book, What's Eating You, Bacteria with Taste, is about the work of Dr. Edward C. Rosenau. Dr. Rosenau was with the Mayo Clinic for 30 years. I worked for the, I was a health, a little bit on my background, I was a health program analyst for the Department of State at the Agency for International Development for nearly 3 years, where I analyzed a 60 million health program in East Asia. For every year that I worked at aid, Dr. Rosenau was at the Mayo Clinic for 10 years. So this is one of the great scientists of our day, and his work is being ignored. And there are a number of reasons why, and they're all faulty reasons why the work is being ignored. But basically, Dr. Rosenau worked with all of these mysterious diseases. If we could go to camera 1, please, for just a moment. I've got a partial list here of, whoops, we lost it. Okay, well, we have a list. The diseases range from arthritis to appendicitis to schizophrenia to myasthenia gravis to you name it, thyroiditis, trigeminal neuralgia, ulcerative colitis, ulcer. We go on and on, but Dr. Rosenau was with the Mayo Foundation for 30 years, so he had a lot of time to work on these things. And the surprising thing is that Dr. Rosenau was able to take an organism that he cultured from the diseased teeth of human patients in all of these different diseases. He could take that organism, culture the organism, inject it in laboratory animals, and he caused the same disease in the laboratory animals as the people involved had. And it's what he termed elective localization. He just proved that this is the organism, whatever else is involved in these diseases, genetic predisposition, whatever else may be involved, there is an organism involved. It's different variations of a streptococcus. Dr. Rosenau was able to culture the organism, cause these diseases in animals, pass it through to another set of animals. He fulfilled the Koch's postulates for disease causation. Now, why is Dr. Rosenau's work being ignored? There was a book recently, and part of my being here today talking about this book is thanks to a Dr. George Meinig, who was a dentist living in Ojai. Dr. Meinig wrote a book recently called Root Canal Cover-Up. And Dr. Meinig is the most unlikely person to have written a book on that subject because he is one of the 19 founders of the Root Canal Therapy Organization 50 years ago. In 1943, the American Association of Endodontists was formed, and among those, one of the founding members was Dr. Meinig. Now, over the course of the last few years, Dr. Meinig has been researching the work of Dr. Price, Dr. Weston Price, who used many of the methods of Dr. Rosenau and used many of his own to totally confirm the works of Dr. Rosenau and many others on the the connection between root canals and between various diseases. It's not just root canals. It's not just work that's been done to root canals. It's diseases of the oral cavity, tonsils, teeth, but the problem is it's not just diseased teeth that are visible, where we can see them in x-rays. It's the teeth that we don't see, where we don't see an infection in x-rays. And this includes a good deal of pulpless teeth, or teeth that have had root canals. They are infected. It's been proven. We have several thousand teeth have been studied by various investigators, and unquestionably, pulpless teeth, teeth that have had root canals, are infected. Teeth that are totally vital and are sterile. So it's like, it just happens to be that it's about infected teeth, and just so happens that teeth that have had root canals done, or teeth where the roots are no longer vital, even if they haven't had a root canal done, they are always invariably infected. And further, the organism that grows there in these areas has been definitely linked to all these different diseases. We have a call. Hi.
Oh, hi, Stuart. How are you?
Well, who is this, please?
My name's Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Wanted to know, a lot of these diseases, now, is that food? Does food contribute, like a lot of different kinds of foods?
Well, sure, it would be a contributing factor, because just like we need certain sustenance to survive, so do the organisms that are feeding on us, if you will. So that selectively, these organisms will benefit more greatly from different substances. And this is probably why now Dr. Rosenau was particularly successful in culturing his organism with a dextrose beef brain broth. And it just seems to make sense that that's probably why it probably relates to the question of whether or not we should eat beef, whether or not we should eat sugar. It's that these things foster a favorable circumstance for organisms that cause harm, and therefore they're giving them a selective advantage. Whereas if we ate just spinach, we start to starve those harmful organisms.
Right, because I did give up sugar, and I feel so much better. And breads, I gave up those. But right now I'm on a high protein and very low carbohydrate diet. And I wanted to ask your opinion if that's healthier as far as bacteria and all that stuff.
I'm not a dietitian, and I wouldn't pretend to say that I know a lot more about it than I do. There are a number of books out. It's called there's a Price Pottinger Foundation in San Diego. I know you can find them through the web. If they should be listed, Price Pottinger Foundation. If you can't find them, drop me a note and I will get you their address.
Okay, well,
and they
thank
have
you very
several
much.
books on nutrition, including sugar. Some books they also have Dr. Meinig's book available through them, and so on. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, thank you.
Is there anything else?
No, I just would want to know, you mentioned that the doctor talked about beef, that whether or not we should eat beef now.
Well, he didn't specifically talk about beef. I read several things that says that say that we shouldn't be eating meat products, and I'm just stretching and making a possible correlation between that and Dr. Rosenau's work, where he was able to culture the causative organism in deep tubes of dextrose brain broth, so that I'm kind of saying, well, maybe that's why we shouldn't eat beef, because it gives an advantage to the organisms that are eating us.
Oh, I see.
Okay?
I see.
Just the logic of it.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you.
Okay, yeah, and drop me a note if you want the address of that Price Pottinger Foundation. They've got a lot of books on this subject, including a lot of things on nutrition.
All right.
Okay, sugar and so on.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. We've got another call. Hi.
Hey, Stuart, how you doing?
Well, who's this, please?
Ray.
Ray, hi. Thanks for calling. What can I do? What can we say? What can we do?
I'd like to know the effects of smoking on teeth.
Well, the effects of smoking are, okay, the reason that Dr. Rosenau used deep tubes of dextrose brain broth is because this afforded an oxygen gradient, okay, from full oxygen, the amount of oxygen that you get in the air, to zero oxygen, which is what you know, or very low amount of oxygen, okay? And because these are conditions that actually exist in the mouth where we have infections. You have the full oxygen from the air and then gradations of oxygen. And it's in this type of a climate that the organisms that cause harm grow. They need that oxygen gradient, and then they find the place that they grow most virulent, which correlates with the diseases with the conditions inside also. So that, again, I'm stretching this, but my interpretation is that that one of the reasons that smoking is harmful to you is because it lowers the amount of oxygen that in your blood supply, so that okay, and again, this is nothing that's been proven, but I'm just giving you the benefit of what I think it just makes logical sense.
Now,
Okay?
are there brands
I mean,
out
you have
there that are better?
the other thing is that smoke is definitely an irritant to the lungs. So I mean, if you want to move toward getting, and I was a smoker for several years. I don't smoke anymore, and I really regret the years that I smoked, because you will do damage to your lungs, and basically what you're doing there is the types, and Dr. Rosenau's original works. This is the doctor that published work from 1902 to 1958. He's had about 300 articles. So the guy was like an incredible. He was a monster, really. And he, his early work was done with pneumonia and with lung diseases and so on. And we have the same principle there. You're weakening the natural tissue, so you're leaving yourself open to infection by organisms that cause lung disease and cancer. So I would urge you, I don't think any brand there's no brand that is good to smoke.
Now, what exactly in the cigarette causes the damage in the teeth and?
I'm not saying anything about the cigarette and damage to the teeth, and I don't know. I don't know specifically what the ingredients are, except we know that the smoke itself is a carcinogen.
I see.
Okay?
All right, thanks for your time, Stuart.
You're quite welcome.
Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
All right, bye-bye.
Good luck. Try to quit smoking if you can.
You know what? I think I will.
Thanks.
All right.
Okay, next call, please. Thanks. Hi.
Yes, Stuart. Really appreciate your show. I think it's
Thanks.
a fascinating endeavor.
Your name, sir?
And it's very, very interesting. A question I have: isn't the idea of a root canal that to extract tissue or to extract the nerve?
Right. The nerve is removed.
If the nerve is removed, because I know the dentists consider it the tooth to be a dead tooth. Is it possible? I know people get their teeth pulled in order to avoid some of these problems, complications. But
unfortunately, that's the only option that we have at this point.
So there's no way of there's no more flesh to extract from the tooth. I mean, are these root canal teeth? Are they just dead pieces of bone, or is it the connection to the?
Well, the problem is that there's all the dental tubules. There's miles of dental tubules, as I understand it, in each tooth, and they just fill up with minute bacterial forms that cause that they just continue to grow, and they occupy the area. And the studies that have not found these organisms, they simply have not used the techniques of Dr. Rosenau. When you use the techniques of Dr. Rosenau, invariably you correlate these organisms are evident. It's evident that they're there. Dr. Price, Dr. Meinig talks about this in his book, Root Canal Cover-Up. Dr. Price actually just took a bunch of teeth out that have had root canals done. He didn't worry about culturing organisms or whatever, and just implanted those teeth in different laboratory animals, and those laboratory animals invariably got the same systemic disease, distant disease, that the people that came from the people that had the root canals done. Root canals are invariably infected. It has been proven. There is one article, a key article in 1928 that was written by a Dr. Holman. I've discussed that fairly thoroughly in my book. And it was just a fraudulent article, and a bunch of articles in the 30s referred to that article and built an inverted pyramid of fraud. And I can, there's not really time to go into the detail, but it was a statistical trick that was used. And then as a result, if we can go to camera number 1 for just a moment, and we'll see if you can see this inverted pyramid from the 1928 article here, the 1928 article. We have these guys in the 30s referred to that, and then these guys in the 40s and the 50s, and that's the foundation of root canal therapy. And unfortunately, and I don't think these guys were being bad guys. I think initially this initial group was taken in by this. They said, here's statistics that prove that Rosenau didn't prove anything, whereas in fact they don't. The statistics are fraudulent. And they seized on that because they were already doing root canals and they wanted to justify their work. And that's what all scientists do. You find an article that supports your position and you you use that to refer to that article, and you go ahead and you do what you want to do, unless if there's something that clear out says that you shouldn't do it. Well, Rosenau's work of basically 60 years, and especially the 30 at the Mayo Clinic and 15 beyond, plus other people, Dr. Weston Price, Dr. Hayden. There were some studies on several thousand teeth by Rhodes and Dick, by Swanson and Van Kirk. We've got all of the references here for you, all of the results. Just invariably, pulpless teeth, whether they've been filled or not, they are infected. And they are one of the types of oral infections that relate to all these diseases.
That's kind of one quick question in relation to that. I wanted to ask you, once the teeth are pulled, these tubules that you're talking about, if they are infected, how does one go about extracting these from the system?
Okay. Once you have the tooth pulled, okay, first of all, and then the other thing is, and Dr. Rosenau talked about this, Dr. Price did too, because you've had the tooth in your mouth for a number of years, okay, you've had this locus of no resistance. So it's a small nest. It doesn't show up in x-rays very often. It doesn't cause any inflammation because the organisms have access to the bloodstream. So they're continually spilling out into the bloodstream and looking for other places to form a secondary nest. So that while they're in this location, they also do tend to infect the bone. And there is a procedure now, more and more dentists are becoming aware of it. Hal Huggins in Colorado, and there's some other doctors that Price Pottinger can give you information on. They're now taking out a small amount of the bone. When the tooth is extracted, withdraw like a small amount of the bone is being burred out to get rid of that residual infection, and then the bone heals over and it'll be perfectly healthy.
Well, this is very fascinating. I'm looking forward to reading. Thank you for your show.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for calling in. We have another call, please? Okay. Hi. Thanks for calling. Hello?
Hello.
Hi. What's your name, please?
Geraldine.
Hi, Geraldine. What can we do for you?
Well, I'm wondering what I can do about some very bad, painful arthritis. It starts in my back, and it goes down both legs, and it's very bad in the heels and the knees.
Okay, Geraldine, I'm not a medical doctor, but I am a researcher, and I've researched the subjects very thoroughly. Actually, I've been on this project for about 10 years, which is a lot longer than I thought I would be. But it gets pretty fascinating. Dr. Billings, who was the president of the AMA, Dr. Mayo, Charlie Mayo, the big moving force between the Mayo Foundation, Dr. Rosenau, and many others, they worked together, also with Dr. Price, and they showed how it's the oral foci that definitely are the initial bacterial cause of the conditions that you describe. However, after you've had this condition for quite a while, these secondary foci have set up so that the first thing would be, according to these gentlemen and many others that have studied the situation, would be to remove anything in your mouth, teeth, tags of teeth, little stubbles of teeth that have been pulled before, maybe something was left, tonsillar tags. Get that oral cavity totally clean. If the tooth is not as good as it was when you were born, the day you were born, get rid of it. Okay, that would be your first step. And then the next thing would be is to culture, to try to find a laboratory, and we're going to be working on this with Dr. Meinig and Price Pottinger. And with Hal Huggins. I'm hopeful that we'll get them to start culturing the specific vaccines so that the organism would be taken from you, cultured, and a vaccine would be given to you. The only other thing that I can offer as a temporary expedient is to find an older doctor in his 70s or 80s that practices the procedure known as autohemotherapy, which takes the blood out and re-injects it intramuscularly. There's been 1,000 articles written on this subject. That'll be in my volume 2, Automedical Synthesis, and I talk about it briefly in the last chapter in What's Eating You, Bacteria with Taste.
Repeat that name again.
It's autohemotherapy. And your best bet to find a doctor that's aware of it is check initially with dermatologists and with allergists. Find somebody that's in their 60s or 70s, maybe retired, that would know more about that.
But my teeth are all good. I have all my teeth, and I take very good care of them.
Okay, well, if you've had any deep fillings, if you've had any root canals, If you have any gum disease, these are areas that are suspect.
I see.
Okay, so from this, it's a slightly different perspective. Now, because of some of the work that's been done and the unfortunate effects of this fraudulent article, a lot of dentists are convinced that they're really doing you a favor by somehow keeping your teeth, even if they have had root canals, even if they have severe restorations, and so on. It's been proven that they're not really doing you a favor. So. I would urge you to find a dentist that is more knowledgeable on the correlation between disease and oral diseases and these various diseases.
Did you remove the teeth then?
If they're as good as they were when you were born, leave them in. If they're totally healthy teeth, don't touch them.
Yes.
But if they're infected, they're suspect.
No, I've never had any infection in my teeth.
Okay. Well.
Is there anything else I can do for the pain of arthritis?
I'm not a doctor. All I can say is that the cause of these diseases has definitely been linked to the oral focus. Check your tonsils. Check for. I would have another examination done on those teeth. These things do not always show up in X-rays. See if you've had some any kinds of restorations or gum infection or. That's all I'm sorry. I don't know what else to tell you except you might connect with the Price Pottinger Foundation in San Diego, get their catalog, and see if one of those books might be.
What is it, the Price what?
Price Pottinger Foundation.
It's Pottinger?
Yeah.
And that's in San Diego?
In San Diego.
I see.
Okay, and if you can't get their address, get my address at the end of the show and drop me a note, and I'll send you their information on them. I'm sorry I don't have their number with me today.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Geraldine. Good luck to you. Hi, thanks for calling.
Yes, hi. My name is Robert. I'm 38 years old.
Yes, Robert.
What's eating me is what I eat with, my teeth, my wisdom teeth.
Okay.
I have a mouth, one of them is infected, number 32, way in the back, and I haven't been feeling well, and I've been having fevers. And oral surgeon believes that it is due to the wisdom teeth moving and the infection that I have. And I've just recently developed, like, pneumonia, a spot on my lung.
Yeah, listen to your oral surgeon. He's telling you the truth.
Is there any correlation between the teeth and the pneumonia?
Definitely.
What's that?
Definitely. They're all related.
Oh, really?
They're all related.
Oh, here I'm thinking I just had pneumonia, you know.
I'm sorry?
Here I'm just thinking pneumonia just came from somewhere else. And
no, they're all related. In a way, Dr. Rosenau's work really helps us and makes things much more simple because a lot of these diseases are related. At least the same. He was able to actually even transform an organism that causes pneumonia into and influenza into an organism. He showed how they change from one into organisms that cause nervous system disease, such as polio, due to the radiant energy. They're all kind of related, and these wisdom teeth are very dangerous. What happens when they start to grow in sideways or whatever is that they leave room for organisms that to grow and have a little nest and then from there to access the bloodstream and cause these different things. Dr. Rosenau definitely, he worked with headache, he worked with and pneumonia, so you're right in the ball game here.
Oh, really?
As
okay.
Soon
now,
as it's safe.
Let me just currently tell you, I'm being treated by my doctor, my physician, with Biaxin, 500 milligrams to hopefully clear up the spot on my lungs, hopefully clear up the pneumonia so that they can put me under anesthesia and then have all 4 wisdom teeth removed.
Okay.
Is this a good thing?
It sounds logical to me. I mean, in the circumstance you're in, you've got to get healthy before you stir up the nest, and that's what they're trying to do.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we've got a few minutes left, and we'll just take it. Is there another call?
Thank you.
Oh, thanks a lot. Was there any other thing?
No, that's about it. I'm just trying to get better, and thank you so much. At my TV, I just popped on, and there you were talking about teeth, and this is what I'm suffering.
Okay, what I've got now, at the urging of Dr. Meinig, he's come up with some questions that he's faced when he's talked about his book, and at his urging, I've put together what I'm calling a preliminary technical report. In there, I have all of Dr. Rosenau's works are indexed by subject and disease. I have a history of the focal infection concept going back from 600 BC all the way to the present time. These things are still it's coming back around. So this is a very old concept. It's been around as long as medicine has been around. Very solid, and it's not a real clean book, but I would like to make this information available as soon as possible. I also have some information on my website which form the foundation of the book. So the article, What's Eating Your Bacteria with Taste, you can look it up on my website. We'll give you the address at the end there, or find me, Shakman, through one of the search mechanisms, Stuart Shakman. On the website, you'll see the basics of the article, and I've got a little bit more information in the book, and it's organized in a fashion that you can access it a little bit better. And I'll be adding a little bit more information even before I distribute it within the next week. So basically a little bit more about what happened with the people that were trying to do root canal therapy.
Oh, wonderful, Stuart.
Okay.
Thank you, and keep up the good work.
Thanks for calling. We got 1 minute left, and we'll try to just take one more call. Hi.
Hi, Stuart. My name's John. I really appreciate what
John,
you're talking about.
thanks for calling. We might get cut off, John, so what's your question?
In 1984, I had a suicide attempt, and I, as a result, am partially paralyzed, and I have what's called hypoxia, which is lack of oxygen to the brain. And since that time, my teeth, my bones,
John,
numbness.
okay. John, we're wrapping up. Cotton wrote about it in 1909, the connection between mental illness and teeth. The teeth, if you've got any infections in there, as soon as you can, or any root canals, pull them out, because that's a nest that's causing some of these other symptoms.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and we'll try to do another show as soon as possible and get more of this information out as much as we can.
Great.
I want to thank you all for calling. Tell me some more until we go off the air, John.
I just bones and the neurological. I have central neurological problems, and
check the teeth.
yeah,
Make
I've had a lot of work done on my teeth.
Okay. Any restorations, root canals, any infection at all?
Many, and I still have infections now.
Get them cleaned out. Get them cleaned out to where you don't have any more infections left there. Anything except totally healthy teeth. Get them out of your mouth. Check out your tonsils. Make sure that they're first do the teeth. That's what Dr. Rosenau always said, and then take a look at the tonsils. If there's any problem with that, if you're still having these symptoms, Dr. Rosenau then recommended to get the tonsils out as well.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Good luck to you.
Thank you.